School's back in session in a few weeks. Are you prepared? Parents, have you gotten all your children's back to school supplies? Students, have you been brushing up on your schoolwork? What are you waiting on? Get to it! Hello and welcome to another edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Theodore Henry. The show starts now with a word of advice followed by the news.
It keeps our bodies working, our food nutritious, our living and working spaces clean, and our lives comfortable. Water, the most precious resource necessary for the sustenance of life on our planet. Don't waste it. Let's conserve on this critical commodity. In the house, invest in storage containers and buckets. Take quick showers instead of long baths, and invest in water-efficient shower heads, toilets, and faucets. You may also want to consider one-pot meals and cooking methods that don't require much water. You could also wash fruits and vegetables in a bowl and reuse the water on your plants or grass. When cleaning dishes, fill both sinks and use one for washing and the other for rinsing. The leftover water can be used to wash off the concrete or asphalt in your yard. If you must wash your car at home, aim for once a fortnight and use a bucket to do the washing instead of running the hose. Don't delay. Start your water conservation practices today.
Good day, I'm Tamara McHale, and this is your GIS news for Monday, August 24. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, is projecting that the Jamaican economy will grow by 1.4% in the 2015-2016 fiscal year. The head of the IMF mission to Jamaica made the declaration at a press conference on Friday to formally announce that the country passed the 9th IMF test.
Program implementation remains strong, and all the quantitative performance targets through the end of June were met, with tax revenues exceeding expectations. Structural reforms are also broadly on track.
Jamaica will receive another $40 million from the multilateral agency when the IMF board ratifies the decision in September. In the meantime, the finance minister has reiterated that despite the political climate, the government will be sticking to plans outlined in the country's economic reform program.
Despite the fact that even the blind could see that elections are on the horizon, we will not be engaging in any reckless unlocking of spending simply to satisfy a set of short-term cries and calls and needs. We will not.
More persons continue to receive land titles as government seeks to formalize land settlement areas. Surveys and land title registration for over 1,000 households in the parishes of St. Anne, St. Mary, and Portland have been completed. The land registration project is being carried out under the LAMP 2 extension with $2 million in funding from the Korea International Cooperation Agency, KOICA. 223 persons have already received their land titles, and Land Minister Robert Pickersgill issued another 3 on Thursday.
As we enable and empower another 3 recipients thanks to this grant project, I want to urge them to use their titles productively. People with security of tenure take pride in their assets, and they work to improve the land for the benefit of themselves and their families.
Minister Pickersgill says 873 titles have already been produced by the Commissioner of Lands, while another 132 are being processed. The fight against predial larceny continues to be strengthened through partnership with the private sector. On Thursday, BMR Jamaica Wind Limited in St. Elizabeth handed over a Toyota Hilux pickup to the Malvern Police Station in the parish. While receiving the pickup, National Security Minister Peter Bunting said the donation would help mobilize officers to bring about a reduction in acquisitory crimes such as predial larceny, break-ins, and general larceny. He pointed out that the parish was already showing a decline in violent crime.
It is good that those who are working hard, those who are committed and passionate about serving, protecting, and reassuring the citizens of St. Elizabeth are encouraged and rewarded by being given this important piece of equipment to continue their work and to make the same level of inroads that they're making against violent crime, against predial thieves.
Historic and pioneering are the words being used by Health Minister Dr. Fenton Ferguson as he lauds the introduction of an associate degree program in funeral services and mortuary sciences at the Montego Bay Community College. The minister has welcomed the program, which he asserts is critical in light of major concerns that there are many untrained, unregistered, and unregulated persons in the industry.
I said then that this was something that urgently needed to be addressed, especially where proper angling and infection control issues are concerned. You will find that those operators who earn their certification and who operate based on guidelines will enjoy greater public confidence and therefore higher levels of business activity. The Ministry of Health stands ready to assist in any way we can. We fully endorse this program.
The program will be executed in partnership with Humber College of Canada and the Funeral Directors Association of Jamaica. And finally, Education Minister Reverend Ronald Thwaites is lauding private individuals and businesses contributing to Jamaica's education system. He was speaking at Guardian Life Limited's recent GSED Scholarship Awards ceremony. Minister Thwaites pointed out that while government invested over $80 billion in education annually, it still needed private sector support to supplement the needs of the sector.
It would be insufficient to do what we do if it were not for the contribution of companies, of the alumni, people in the diaspora, and parents, of course, churches in Jamaica. Education is the biggest enterprise of the land, and it is the most important one.
And that's it for JIS News today. I'm Tamara McHale. Thanks for watching.
Some water again, please.
Water gone. But me need water for cook. So how me go wash?
Let's weather the drought. Start conservation measures today. Check for leaks around your house. Opt for shorter showers over long baths. Reuse water to water plants and lawn. Watch the amount of water you and your family use. Try cooking methods that don't require much water. And if you have a vehicle, avoid washing it regularly. Remember, water is as important as the air we breathe. So conserve our water, conserve our life.
From launching the National Export Strategy to unveiling plans for the construction of a National Sports Museum, Prime Minister Portia Simpson-Miller and her team at Jamaica House made several development moves this past week.
Second phase of National Export Strategy launched. Prime Minister commends athletes for their outstanding representation of Jamaica. And Jamaica receives Harmonious Enjoyment Chinese Garden from the People's Republic of China. I'm Andrea Chisholm with this week's Jamaica House Weekly.
The National Export Strategy is a major plank of Jamaica's economic program and of our overarching national development policy.
Prime Minister Portia Simpson-Miller speaking Thursday as she launched the second phase of the National Export Strategy NES. This leg of the program is focused on manufacturing, mining, film and animation, agro-processing and information technology-enabled services.
Greater global competitiveness must be the goal of the Jamaican manufacturing and export sectors. The government is committed to creating the enabling environment to support your success, because your success is Jamaica's success.
Jamaica and China's 43 years of friendship was strengthened with Wednesday's handing over of a Harmonious Enjoyment Chinese Garden by the Asian country. It was opened inside the Hope Botanical Gardens. Prime Minister Simpson Miller graciously received the garden on behalf of the Jamaican people. She pointed out that the garden was an enduring symbol of the friendship between the two countries.
A space for harmony and inspiration, and a place for reflection and creative thought where East meets West for greater understanding of ourselves and our world.
While she tended to business in Kingston, the Prime Minister dispatched the minister responsible for housing to St. Mary for the installation of Errol Johnson as the new Custos of St. Mary. Through Dr. Morris Guy, Mrs. Simpson Miller urged Custos Johnson to continue to advocate for and influence good values and attitudes in the parish. In sport, Prime Minister Simpson Miller commended all Jamaican athletes participating at the IAAF World Athletics Championships now underway in Beijing, China. In a statement released on Sunday, the Prime Minister congratulated Usain Bolt and Adaine Richards for their medal-winning performances at the championships. Mrs. Simpson Miller said Bolt continued to inspire Jamaica and the world through his legendary performance on the track. And the Prime Minister said Shelley Fraser Price's successful defense of her 100-meter title was inspiring and symbolic of the hopes of the Jamaican people. In the meantime, Mrs. Simpson Miller has also congratulated Alia Atkinson's gold medal performance at the FINA Swimming World Cup in Paris and her gold and silver medals at the FINA Champs in Russia. The minister responsible for sport, Natalie Nita Headley, also had high praises for the nation's athletes.
If you give of your best, if you remain disciplined, if you remain focused, if you remain dope-free, then we'll be happy to always have you representing Jamaica, because that is what is good about Jamaica.
Prime Minister Simpson Miller, meanwhile, has commended the island's sportsmen and women in other sporting disciplines who she says continue to give their best. In a statement Wednesday, the Prime Minister had high praises for the National Paralympics team's impressive performance at the recent Parapan Games in Canada. The Paralympians also walked away with 29 medals at the Special Olympics World Summer Games in Los Angeles. Mrs. Simpson Miller also had special commendations for the island's Sunshine Girls and their spirited participation in the recently held Netball World Cup in Australia. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Simpson Miller highlighted Jamaica's female cricketers' second-place finish at the Super 50 finals in Trinidad. She also extended best wishes to the Jamaican team preparing for the 2015 Commonwealth Youth Games in Samoa, Garth Gale on his election to the Technical Committee of the IAAF, and Lord Sebastian Coe's election to IAAF President. On Tuesday, the minister responsible for sport, Natalie Nita Headley, said Cabinet had given approval for the construction of a national sports museum to celebrate our athletes' achievements. The museum is to be erected along Arthur Winter Drive beside the statue of Bob Marley.
We have already got the land from the National Land Agency. That has already gone to Cabinet for approval, and so we now go through the process. The UDC is working along with us.
$39 million has been allocated in this year's budget to facilitate pre-construction works. Back at Jamaica House, Mrs. Simpson Miller welcomed visitors to the office of the Prime Minister this past week. On Thursday, she met with a delegation from the Harris Family Vision Inc. Foundation. The New York-based charitable organization is on the island to stage back-to-school treats and health fairs in several rural and urban communities. The Prime Minister also welcomed Venezuela's Executive Vice President Jorge Arreaza. The two discussed their country's long-standing friendship and cooperation in several areas, including energy. And that's how we close Jamaica House Weekly for today. Be sure to join us next time for the latest stories coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
I say be careful what you teach your little children. Make sure I know something to hurt them.
Parents, keep your children safe and protected. Stay alert and be aware of where your children are at all times. Submit the latest photo of your child to his or her school. Know what's happening with your child. Listen to them when they say they don't feel comfortable going to a certain place or being around certain persons. Act quickly when your child tells you he or she has been touched inappropriately or approached with unwanted requests. Be the change. Help us protect our children. For more information, call 1-888-776-8328 or 1-876-878-2882.
This next feature is for parents sending their children off to school for the first time.
The first few years of life are critical to a child's success in later years. That's why there's major emphasis placed on developing their young minds to take their place as the creators of tomorrow's future. As parents, we want only the best for our children, and getting the best education is no different. So we went on a fact-finding mission and unearthed some tips for you to consider when thinking about the first stage of your child's academic life.
So firstly, you should ensure that the institution you have chosen for your children, that institution has registered with the ECC or is preparing for registration with the Early Childhood Commission.
As the lead agency responsible for early childhood development, the ECC regulates schools that provide instructions for children 0 to 8 years. And when an institution is registered with the Early Childhood Commission, parents are assured that the school abides by the rigid requirements set by the Ministry of Education.
The first thing you want to look at is this a school that caters to the holistic development of the child. And in saying that, it means they have a sound academic background, but academics is not enough. You know, we need the physical development, the emotional development, the intellectual development.
Children love to play, so there should be adequate play area. When you look at the curriculum that the student uses, you should see enough time for rest. Yes, rest is important. Play, and also to find out that the teachers are equipped.
We need to have qualified, trained staff for the early childhood child. We need to know that they are warm and caring, they're friendly. Everybody wants to know that the teacher is approachable. You can talk to the teacher about whatever problems you may have. You know, sometimes especially new parents are very anxious.
Early childhood teachers should have attained at least levels 1 and 2 certification in early childhood development from the Heart Trust and at least 5 JSC subjects.
You need to look at the teacher-pupil ratio. That's another consideration. If there are too many children to one teacher, the chances are less of each child making the progress they should. If the child is quick, they might be okay. But your child that needs a little more individual attention could be lost in a big group. So you need to look. I would suggest at least 1 to 20, one teacher to 20 students.
When you go into the school, ensure that the surroundings are clean and everything around you, they are sensitive. So the children will look at things that jump out at them. And also if you feel uncomfortable and your child says that he's uncomfortable at school, something must be wrong. So ensure you take these things into consideration.
Find a school that has an environment that's conducive to learning. There are certain factors. Is it attractive, stimulating? Is it safe? Is there proper material for the children to play with? Is the environment clean? Those are factors that will affect learning. So you need to know that the environment is conducive to learning.
One of the first things I did was visit the school often, taking the child with me and also enroll her in the summer program. So at least 2 days a week she would come to get to know her teacher, to get to know the surrounding.
I have seen where those who have come to summer school, they are able to fit in much better come September, because when they come in September, they see the friend that they met in summer school, so they are able to adjust. The transition is much easier.
When looking for an institution to send your preschooler, it's also important that you know what meals are provided, as proper nutrition ensures they'll function throughout the day.
If lunch is prepared, you can ask to take a look at the kitchen, you visit the school.
We offer proper nutrition here, where the children would be given a hot meal every day.
Most times parents will pay for the meal, but what do they get? You need to know that they're getting a balanced meal each day, and that also they're having it, because you could easily pay for it and the children are not eating it.
Going to school for the first time can be stressful for the child as well as the parents.
Children, they're going to cry regardless of what. But what you'll find sometimes parents themselves crying too, and this makes the child so uncomfortable. So what you have to do as a parent, try and tough it out and encourage a child. What we also encourage, if there's a toy that the child loves, like a blanket, you can give the child a blanket. Or you can give the child a photograph of you.
Children are our future. It's important that we nurture them in every way possible. So once your child's school year begins, you should play your part in continuing the learning process at home.
The ministry's curriculum now is big on parental involvement. So you find that the homework that we give, we know the children can't do it on their own, so parents must assist. So that is big. And we also want that parent to be involved in the school life, not just send the child to school, come to school, find out what is happening from teacher.
You can't be an absentee parent. Some parents will just, I pay, I send my child to school, and that's it. That is not enough. We find that children most times who make more stride and, are the ones that the parents show that interest.
After the child or the children have been taught here in the days, we are expecting the parents to do a reinforcement with them so that learning continues even at home and they will understand whatever was being taught.
Get involved overall. Check them, when I reach home, check the books, ensure that they get homework and do the homework, and all of these little things. And that will go a long way in ensuring that the child progresses through school.
Come out to the PD. That's where you have your voice, you have your say. This is your investment. You're investing in your child here, so you need to come out, say what it is, make plans for the school, be a part of the school in its entirety.
Our children are our responsibility. Let's give them a bright start.
Be an active participant in your child's life. Spend time with your child. No phones, no television, no distractions. Just the two of you. Get to know your child through play. Why not go to the park and get on the monkey bars? Sharing a meal can also be a time of bonding. If your child's in school, be involved in school activities. Speak with your child's teacher, follow up on their progress in school, and see how you can help. Assist them with homework. Attend parent-teacher meetings and support school fundraising events. Remember, your child's future is in your hands. Safeguard it.
So glad you are a child of mine.
Worrying about your toddler's eating habits? Here's a feature that may relieve some of those fears.
It's a long-held belief that a healthy child is a better student. And a big part of children being receptive to learning and meeting their developmental milestones is a well-balanced diet. We support that notion, and so we've enlisted the help of Charmaine Edwards, head of the nutrition unit in the Ministry of Health, to give us some useful pointers on how to make the first few years of our toddlers' education productive. Charmaine, so happy to have you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
A lot of toddlers, when they're making the transition from home or daycare into a full-fledged school, it can be a very unsettling experience. Right. So what kind of advice would you give in helping making that transition smoother?
Right. So the first advice I would give is not to use food to get these children settled. So don't offer food as reward, all right? Don't try to use it to calm their emotional state. They develop the wrong association for food. But in terms of eating, the first thing they do is refuse food. But I can tell you, when they're hungry, they're gonna eat. So we just need to ensure that they are having their proper nutrition. How will you know if they are? They will gain weight, they will grow well. If they're not gaining weight and they're not growing, we know that something is wrong with their nutritional status. What we have not mentioned so far, however, is their physical activity, because it's going to be key. Because obesity, and childhood obesity in particular, is becoming really important in the Caribbean and in the world in general. So we need to ensure that they are active participants. And with the sugar and so on, we need to watch dental caries. That's another part we tend to forget, but we need to ensure that the teeth are also healthy.
Okay. But as also a part of the nutrition, as we wrap up soon, is in terms of the fact that when they're moving on to a full-fledged school, the parent is not around all day. So even though they might give them their lunches, because I remember when I was younger, and my mom gave me like a bun and cheese, and when I went to school, I'd give it away. Right. So how can a parent ensure that their child at school is eating properly?
Right. And so it brings me to 2 points. The first one is going to be children share a lot. It's in their nature. So you might give away your lunch and eat somebody else's lunch. They are like that. So once all our caregivers are aware of the healthy options that are available, then you shouldn't worry too much. That's one. 2, most of these early child institutions have a structured program, and so they monitor what it is that the children are having. I know that the Early Childhood Commission has developmental officers, and they have inspectors that go around to ensure that they adhere to the standards that have been set. So I wouldn't worry too much in that setting. That is a more controlled setting, even than when you get to a primary school level per se, when the children are free to choose at that point. But children 3 to 4 are generally starting their independence. They want to feed themselves. And so the environment is controlled. So once the environment is controlled, then we shouldn't have to worry too much.
Okay. Any last tips?
So feed them in happy surroundings. Make eating a pleasurable experience for them. Experiment with them. Don't impose our likes as adults and dislikes on them. Let them make their own choices.
Thank you, Charmaine. So there you have it. Nutrition is a major part of a child's learning experience. So ensure your child has the right ingredients to grow and to learn.
The Petra Caribe Development Fund has been helping to transform the Jamaican landscape for over 9 years, expanding our roadways, modernizing our airports, facilitating the creation of jobs and providing academic scholarships, reshaping communities and improving sanitation facilities. The Petra Caribe Development Fund, moving beyond energy security. To find out more about the fund, call 960-9110 or visit their website, petracaribejm.org.
Let's celebrate Jamaica to the world. Fastest man in the world. First Jamaican woman to win gold in Olympic 100-meter sprint. An upcoming global superstar. Mouth-watering meals. And a vibrant set of people. We are Jamaicans. Let's get together and bring back the love.
And that's how we draw the curtains down on Jamaica Magazine for today. Be sure to keep the connection. Join us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. If you're not social media savvy, our website jis.gov.jm is just as informative. On behalf of the entire team here at the JIS, I'm Theodore Henry. Have yourselves a wonderful evening.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.